once you hit 22, your life is pretty much over. Um, I've been seeing those memes a lot recently, so it's really got me thinking because I turned 22 pretty much a month ago at this point. So let's talk 2025, a year in review. 2025, it's kind of a pivotal year for a lot of us, especially for me because number one, I think the biggest thing was I graduated college 6 months ago, so I'm fully back in New York City, not in Buffalo anymore. Albeit that this is pretty much after you graduate school, or really after you graduate high school. Um, that's kind of the start of your young adult life journey in a sense, right? And I remember I made a video when I graduated high school in 2021 talking of like, it is kind of crazy when you really think about it that once you're 17, you kind of have to figure out, okay, what do I generally want to do for the rest of my life? And I think that, such a big decision as someone who's like 17, um, that's a lot to take in, right? It's really, there's a lot of lessons that you learn from being in college that aren't in the classroom, right? And being that, like, I pretty much grew up in the city, or I can't even claim I'm from the city, but I pretty much grew up around New York for my entire life, and really going to Buffalo and having that different experience outside of the city. Um, it's not something I wouldn't trade for the world, especially all the people that I've met and all of the things we were able to accomplish within 4 years being at college, right? Even such, I wouldn't say that career wise and goals wise, I am where I want to be yet, and I think that that's just something that's always going to be on my mind of trying to get to the next step each time and really striving to um, create content or any kinds of like strategy producing and working with creators in that sense is something that I still really want to do. And being that I am 22, I'm still pretty young and um, pretty much have my whole career in front of me. But at the same time, there is a part of me that sees like, oh, so and so creator blew up, right? And they're like 20, right? That makes me feel pretty old at the same time. And I think that like when you really look at it, when people say that comparison is the thief of joy, you shouldn't compare yourself to other people's journeys because at the same time, social media really only shows you the, glamorous parts of it. You don't see all the work that someone might have put in behind the scenes to really get to where they are today. Right. And likewise, they might be a creator or, something and they hate their job. And, we will probably never know unless they make a video on it. So those are just some things to think about, food for thought, I guess. When I look back at when I was in college, it was pretty much not that much school and more so just like working and like other projects, right? And I think that's when if you're someone who's going into college now, like that's kind of the pivotal thing that you should really be doing throughout your time at whatever school you might be going to, because given all the AI bubble and everything, and just the overall scope of how entry level jobs kind of are looking right now, you know, companies kind of want someone who's able to do like multiple, like five people's jobs as one person because of the fact that AI was able to streamline and cut out a lot of, entry level positions, right? Yeah, everyone can go to college. Everyone can get a marketing degree like I did, right? But if you graduate with just a marketing degree and you didn't really be involved in extracurriculars or like other projects or internships, right? I would, as someone who's able to hire people, right, as a recruiter, I would probably take the guy that has like two internships and like a 2.0 GPA over the guy that has a 4.0 GPA and no internship or like project experience, right? So, really looking back at college, like, me and my friends were able to really accomplish a lot during that short amount of time that we were there, whether it was with jobs or, a lot of the events that we worked, creatively, and being able to, be a part of that is one of my brightest highlights from college as I look back, right? And I wouldn't trade those experiences for the world. Um, Albeit, obviously, like there's times where I would think when I was in college, like, damn, what if I stayed local, stayed in the city, I went to like Fordham or NYU or one of those places. But the reality is that if I did go to any of those schools, I probably would be paying student debt back for the rest of my life. Um, but college in any situation that you're in is all going to come down to what you make of it, right? And I think it is easy to look at other people's lives, look at other people's social medias and think like, man, I want XYZ. And, as much as that may be true, there's a lot that these people put on hard work wise behind the scenes that, we will never see, right? It's a lot of other aspects of, life that, social media doesn't get to see. And likewise, it's a process of, building up your own personal brand, along with whatever content or creative that you kind of want to look at. Tomorrow is literally December. So like, let that sink in real quick. But I think I already talked about college as, being a pretty pivotal moment, but it is always at the end of the day, what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it, right? When you're at school, when you're at college, you have a common theme with everyone, right? Everyone there is within the same age group as you, and now you're at work and your biggest op is like some 70-year-old senile old man that's like, I don't know, has tenure, or I don't know what the equivalent of tenure would be in like work, but once you graduate, you're kind of just thrown into the fire to an extent. So what are some other things that I'm like thinking about of recapping for the year? Maybe this is like my one video that I'll like post on this that I'll do like every year and then like never touch this account because I'm lazy. Very, very important to just continue to do things that you enjoy, because if you're just going to work and coming home and just repeating that cycle every day, you're going to go crazy. Like, respectfully, you are going to go insane, because as fulfilling as work might be, obviously I don't know what you're doing as a job, but as fulfilling as it might be, I'm sure that there's other things out there that can make you happy too, and really bring other aspects of your life that you might not have known that you needed before. So I don't know, as you go into 2026, keep that in mind. 2025 wrapped, Spotify wrapped, dating wrapped, whatever. I think right now, honestly, on social media, if you just post anything like relationship advice adjacent, you will probably get views. Like 9 times out of 10, you'll probably get views. And I think that now that I'm older, now that I have been in relationships, I guess, it really is a very complex and intricate subject. Like if you look at love, for example. And I think that a lot of us fall into that trap of seeing other people in relationships and thinking like that, you obviously want that too. And who doesn't, right? I think if you were to ask literally anyone and be like, oh, do you want to find your soulmate, right? Everyone will probably say yes for the most part. I don't know. Maybe there's people out there that don't want to find that, but I think we all do, right? And I think that being in New York, and everyone talks about New York City dating sucking. And to an extent, I guess that is true, right? Like New York dating kind of sucks. And as a guy, I wouldn't say I had like any bad experiences per se. Like I think that my last few, I guess, talking stages all kind of ended pretty well. Like I don't think there was any like bad blood between any of them. But I saw a TikTok the other day that was saying, you are the type of person that you're going to attract, right? And I think that is true to an extent, right? Because if you're, or really to be the type of person that you would want, right? And this girl might be your like ideal partner or whatever, right? But would you be theirs in your current state? You're probably sitting at home right now just watching this in bed, but think of it of like, you want to be the type of person that you would be proud of and that, you know, your person would want to at the same time. I saw TikTok the other day that said, like, from a quarterback perspective, right? Like, stay in the pocket and, be patient and be ready to throw when that target becomes available, right? I never played football. I might be talking on my ass right now when it comes to, sports analogies like that. But I think that it is true in many situations, within life and relationships or really anything in general. You know, who knows when the right opportunity is going to come. But if you're ready for it, if you're ready in that time, uh, good things will happen, right? So still be ready because, you never know when that time is going to come. And who says that that time is ever going to come again, right? So I think that that's something else to really keep in mind when it comes to relationships, right? You know, obviously we all wish that, we had found our person in 2025, but realistically speaking, like, you have no reason to really dwell on the past like that because life moves on regardless, right? And I've had some stages where, like, obviously I felt pretty sad after that, of what could have been, but I wish her well, I wish whoever well, and if it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't meant to be. And I think that it's really important to, have that acceptance, forgiveness, I guess, if, obviously I don't know your own situations, but really, like, move forward in that aspect and continue to do the things that you enjoy doing and doing the things that make you feel fulfilled. Stay in the pocket and be ready for when your moment comes. But yeah, there's a lot, when I look forward to the future, I think number one is obviously going to be being able to financially move out and make more money. But that's always going to be something that's on my mind. Um, is the right person even out there? And I think obviously it is a very valid thing to think because if you're just constantly swiping on Hinge all day, it can be very easy to be clouded in judgment in that sense, right? But when I look at, friends, family, people throughout my life, I think that, you know, it's good to be picky and to really take a lot of thought and time for that person, right? I think that I would rather someone be super straight up and honest with me of like, hey, I don't think that this is going to go anywhere from the beginning versus, lead someone on for 6 months, right? So, think of it like this. If a girl or guy or whoever is coming to you and, you have that talk and she says that, she's not ready for something, right? Um, take it as a sign of like appreciation, right? They felt comfortable enough with you to be vulnerable and honest up front because they very well could have just like strung you along for the next year. There are still people out there that, um, you know, are looking for something, right? And I think, obviously, albeit it's not everyone, and I think it's important to be pretty upfront from the start of what your intentions are with people. Um, but there are people out there that are genuinely looking for something. And I think when you talk about love, when you talk about a lot of things like this, it's a very beautiful thing that, you know, you're able to share that sense of vulnerability with someone, right? I think that for one, I need to take my own advice better for one part. But, you know, being able to share your life with someone is a very beautiful thing. And, I wouldn't say that I'm in any rush to do so, right? Like, if it happens, it happens, because obviously life goes on and there's a lot of other things that, we all have to worry about life wise, career wise, family wise. But, you know, be ready, stay in the pocket, be ready for when that time comes, and, you know, it'll be barbecue chicken from there. 2026 will be my year.